Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In this video we're going to be covering some of the best invention perks for your armor, weapons and tools. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax and enjoy. Jumping straight into the list, we have Wise at number 10. Now, although being a small increase in experience, being 1% gain per rank with a cap of 50,000 bonus experience per day, it's still a very beneficial perk, and it's quite easy to come by as well. This is a perk you can put on your weapon, armor, and tools. However, I recommend you put this perk on either a skilling offhand or just your tools for skilling, like your crystal hatchet for example, if you don't have it in your tool belt instead. The best two ways of making or getting the Wise perk is by using either Serum components, which you can get from disassembling crystal equipment, so if you're a main account that's not really that expensive, or with PS components obtained from bones and ashes. Now with these 7 components you have a good chance of getting Enlightened 3 as well, and that's a perk that actually increases the amount of item experiences gained on whatever it's put on. If that's a weapon or armor or tool, it doesn't matter, it increases the item experience per rank by 3%. At number 9 we have the Crackling perk, which is a really good perk you should put on your armor only, which damages the target every 60 seconds for 50% ability damage per rank. They're 3 ranks, and this is quite an easy invention perk to obtain if you're a main account, because you can get the components you need quite easily by leveling and disassembling a hand cannon for explosive components, and then the other components, which are either dexterous or magic parts, are quite easily obtained by disassembling bows, swords and magic equipment. Now in combination with some other components you can actually get quite some other useful perks in the same gizmo as Crackling, like the Slayer perks like Undead Slayer or Demon Slayer, which will give you extra damage against a certain type of monster, for the undead being undead obviously. You can also get Venom Blood inside the same perk, or Ultimatums, which are both good perks, and just to remind you guys, use this on armor only. At number 8 we have the Impatient perk, which has a chance to add 3% extra adrenaline when using your basic abilities, and you want to use this on your armor only, and there are 3 ranks, meaning that the higher rank Impatient you have, the higher chance of actually getting that extra adrenaline you have. Now the best way to make this perk is by using Zamra components, as you can get Impatient and the regular Devoted perk as well if you're lucky. Now this requires Zamra components, and the best way to get Zamra components is actually by leveling Subjugation or something Zamrak related, like a Zamrakian spear, up to level 9 and then disassembling it for max components, as that's where you get way more components than just disassembling the item straight away. So for main accounts this is actually quite a cheap perk, as Subjugation isn't that expensive. However, if you're an Iron Man player watching this video, disassembling your piece of Subjugation armor might not be worth it if you aren't in the end game yet. Now at number 7 we have a Quality of Life perk. It isn't really that good, but it's useful. It's the Mobile perk. Now this perk actually reduces the cooldown of Surge, Escape, Barge and Bladed Dive, so basically all the mobility abilities. Now you want to use this perk as a weapon switch for whenever you need extra mobility, so maybe on your offhand Enhanced Excalibur, which is a offhand weapon if you guys did not know that, or getting it in combination with a better perk, because this way you won't have to switch to a different weapon to actually have the benefit of the reduced cooldown. Now like at number 9, the Crackling perk, a great example would be to get Crackling 2 or 3 in conjunction with the Mobile perk. That's a very good combination. At number 6 we have one of the most common used PVM perks in the game, Precise and Equilibrium. Now why both of these on one spot? Well, because you really want to get both of these into one gizmo, as they give a overall damage increase, which is very nice, as both perks basically increase your hit chance, and you always want to be using these perks on your weapon. Now Precise has 5 ranks and Equilibrium has 3. Now there's a lot of combinations, but basically what you want to have on your weapon is a combination of a Precise and Equilibrium perk and Aftershock, which will also be on this list. And some combinations can come down to luck or a lot of money, but basically the best things to have on your weapon is Precise 5 and Aftershock 3, or Precise 4, Equilibrium 2 and Aftershock 3. Now for budget options you can go with Precise 3, Equilibrium 2, which isn't that rare, it's pretty common to get. using 4 precise components and 1 armored component. A good way of getting armored components for free is disassembling armored war priest armor pieces you can get from the minions and the armored boss being Kriara, or just sticking to the regular precise components which you can obtain from disassembling bows, wands, arrows and daggers. At number 5 we have Venom Blood, which is a very useful perk. Almost amazing if you're killing monsters that poison you, or bosses for that matter. Unless they're not using normal poison, that is. You want to use this perk on your armor only. Now Venom Blood is extremely useful at, for example, Gregorovic, because he poisons you all the time and the damage really adds up. The best way to make this perk is by using the following components. Direct components gained from cannonballs, pickaxes and spears, healthy components obtained by food and potions, and evasive components obtained from disassembling ranged armor and hybrid armor. Now with this you can actually get Venom Blood and Biting in the same Gizmo perk shell, if lucky, and Biting is a very good perk as well. At number 4 we have one of the best invention perks in the game for your armor, being Enhanced Devoted, as you have a chance on hit, depending on the rank, to activate the Devotion ability, without actually touching your regular Devotion ability, because it's not affected. Now the Devotion ability basically means that whatever style you're praying against or deflecting against, for example melee, that damage will then be decreased by 100% for a few seconds. And this perk has a 4.5% to 13.5% chance to be activated depending on rank, meaning that you're going to be saving a lot of food when bossing for an entire hour, making this perk extremely useful. The best way to make this perk is actually by using faceted components, which you can obtain from gems, crystal armor and magic offhand weapons. I personally feel getting Enhanced Devoted free is going to cost you at least a bit, because, you know, the chance of getting the components, at least I felt when I went for Enhanced Devoted for my armor, or I just have trash RNG and getting Enhanced Devoted 3 is going to be very easy for you guys. I don't know. At number 3 we have Scavenging. Now this is a useful perk because it actually has a chance to produce invention materials which you will be wanting for other perks or things that are related to the invention skill when you are killing monsters. Now, you can use this on either your armor or on a weapon. I recommend using it on your Slayer armor if you have a spare set of Slayer armor you are using, because this way you're going to gather a lot of components, as the best way to get components is by utilizing this perk and killing a lot of low HP monsters, because the more kills you get, the more chance of materials you have. It's most effective at, for example, the Abyss or Abyssal Demons. And the higher rank you have with this perk, the higher chance you have of actually receiving some rare materials as well. Definitely worth getting this one. Now, the best way to make this perk is by using precious components, which are quite expensive to come by again, or difficult to come by. It's just going to cost you a bit of money. You're going to have to disassemble relics, jewelry, or gems. And you can get Scavenging 1, 2, or 3. 3 is extremely rare and you will probably not get it unless you're very lucky or you have a lot of money to blow on precious components. I personally used this perk for some of my Combat 120s and I got a ton of components. It's actually insane. This perk is amazing. At number 2 we have the Biting Perk, which has a 2% chance per rank to have a critical hit, meaning you're going to be doing more damage as you're going to be having critical hits more often. You want to use this perk on your armor only. Now there are 2 great ways to make this perk. The first is by getting Biting 1 or 2 and Venom Blood if you're lucky in one perk gizmo, requiring evasive components, healthy components and direct components. Now the other way of getting a guaranteed Biting 3 perk, which is amazing and very sought after for high level PVMers, is by using Noxious Components. But you guessed it, Noxious Components are extremely expensive, as you're going to have to disassemble Araxi items or Noxious weapons, which don't come cheap. However, you can easily just settle with Biting 2 on your armor. And at number 1 we have the most useful PVM perk in the game, at least in my opinion, and a great damage increase as well. After dealing 50,000 damage on one or multiple targets, you create an explosion that does AoE damage. If you're bossing, that's just going to target the boss. If you're doing Slayer, it's going to target multiple mobs. This is a perk you want to use on your weapon only, and it has 3 ranks. Now the higher the rank of this perk, the more damage you're going to be doing, and the best way to make this perk is actually by using components you can't immediately use in a gizmo. it's going to be using Illujankan components. Now, to be able to use these components in a gizmo, you must first get 2500 Zarosian reputation in the Heart of Gielinor, also known as Godwatch Dungeon 2. The best way to do this is by doing your daily bounty contracts. Now, to get the actual components themselves, you must disassemble items dropped by Vindicta. For example, a Dragon Rider Lance. However, don't make the mistake of disassembling the item immediately. First, you must augment it and level it to level 9 to get the maximum amount of components out of the item, being 4 components. Now, don't make a gizmo with 4 components and another component, because this way you'll only have a chance of getting Aftershock 3. You'll most likely get Aftershock 2 instead. I personally made this mistake and lost a lot of GP in game. Just don't do that. Use 5 components and you'll have a guaranteed Aftershock 3 perk. Now, if you're planning on putting Aftershock 3 on all your weapons, or you just want multiple Aftershock 3 perks cheap, that's actually a cheaper way than disassembling just Dragon Rider Lances. It's by buying the Anima Core of Zaros armor and then refining it using the essences. And, you know, once you disassemble it, you actually keep the legs themselves instead of losing them. So yeah, I'll probably make a guide on how to get some invention perks cheap in the future. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Of course, there are some honorable mentions as the Planted Feet perk switch or the Absorbative perk, but yeah, I can only include 10 in the list because it's a top 10. Catch you guys later. Peace.